walking through a failure mode, going through from the beginning to end, what it would look like to do a performance assessment. His team's been working on that, but I think we're going to take up most of today using the consequences demo. You all have access to that now. I know you're interested in using it, so I think we're going to take up most of the day on that. Andy's going to put some of the finishing touches on the performance piece, and then next month I think we'll focus on walking through the performance piece next month, if that's okay with this group. And then also on is Michaela, who's helping with the project management of what we're doing. She's also the hydrology lead for what we're doing in the DST. So I'll let each one of them introduce themselves briefly. Woody, why don't you start?
All right, thanks, Jason. Hey, everybody. My name's Woody Fields. I'm a consequence specialist with the Risk Management Center of the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm the lead developer of the LifeSim software, and also one of the main developers of the dam screening tool. Andy, do you want to take it?
I'm sorry, Calvin, is it possible to record the meeting? Okay, sorry.
Sorry. We already are. Thank you, Jose Ardio.
Sorry.
I'm Andy Hill. As Jason indicated, leading the performance aspect of developing the dam screening tool. I'm a geotech by trade, work at the Risk Management Center as well. And I think I spoke to some of you folks last year or two when we talked about maybe dam overtopping and assessing overtopping a while back. At any rate, good to be part of the team, so looking forward to it.
Good morning or afternoon to everybody. I'm Michaela Bittner. I am a hydrological engineer with the Risk Management Center, working on all aspects of the dam screening tool.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Anything from your end, Alan or Tuana, before we get started?
No, I'm just concerned about the quality of the audio. I couldn't hear Andrew or Michaela very well. I don't know if it was just me or...
Yeah,
I think that's the room.
Yeah.
It's the room they're sitting in. They're sitting in our conference room on a conference call, but they're not going to be talking that much. So
okay,
I'll make sure they get closer to they'll get closer to the phone if they are.
Yours is very good, Jason. So
okay. Good. Thank
you. Algum ponto, Rogério?
No, only this.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
We have Arthur from our side too.
Hello, people. How are you?
Good.
Maybe just by way of introduction, we've had a couple of discussion points. One of them being we wanted to make sure that everyone that had interest to access the current version of the DST currently has access. And I know a number of you, we've talked about this already, currently have access. We've seen that a number of you have gone in and, let's say, played around and tested some of the capabilities. I've seen presentations on the DST. I'm impressed with the presentations of the DST, but I'm even more impressed when I actually go in and just do and play around and see the capabilities. And so really the main objective, one of the main objectives of today's call is to do a demonstration of it. So now that you've gone in, maybe you've tried a couple of example projects, maybe you've done a test project, maybe you've looked at it a little bit. Hopefully you can come with some questions as well, or you have some questions as well. But going through a demo, I think, will be really helpful as we continue to see what it currently does, what the tool currently can do. And then ultimately that gives us even more perspective and context for where we're going. So I'll stop there for introduction and turn it back over to you, Jason, or we can just jump right into the demo with Woody. And then we'll have our other kind of feedback, kind of our more business type meeting on the Doric at the end of the demo, after the demo is completed. So turn it over to you guys.
Yeah, the one thing before Woody gets started, obviously this demo would be even more useful if it was on a dam in Brazil. When it comes down to it, there's ways to use the dam screening tool in Brazil. It just takes a lot more massaging to get it to work. And we didn't want you to end up having to jump through a bunch of hoops and get frustrated trying to use it. So what we're going to show you is on a dam in the US, so you can see how it's going to be working in Brazil within a couple months once we get all the different databases officially connected to the dam screening tool. So that's what you're going to be seeing today. Go ahead, Woody.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and then we can go ahead and get started. And like Jason mentioned, once the databases are connected up, it's going to make using the dam screening tool a lot easier in Brazil. But there is ways to do it, as Jason mentioned beforehand, by uploading your data and processing it ahead of time. However, we figured we'd just give you the demo of what the end product, closer to what the end product is going to be. So just wanted to show you where we're going to be at. Dam in the US, it's actually close to where I'm living, where I'm at here in the Central Valley of California. There's a dam over here called Monticello Dam. That's what we're going to be focusing our efforts on today. So Monticello Dam has a pretty moderate size watershed. So it's a pretty flashy system as well, so it can fill up relatively quickly. It's a concrete arch dam sitting in the county of California. Here's a shot of it here. And it has some really unique features, this dam. One of the most unique features is the spillway. It's called a glory hole spillway or a morning glory spillway, which is just a hole in the ground. And I actually have pulled up some photos to show you all ahead of time just because it's pretty cool. So Monticello Dam, really nice, pretty concrete arch dam, beautiful structure. Here you can see the spillway. This is at a very low water level in the reservoir itself during a drought type scenario. You can see the spillway is actually showing. What's really interesting as the water level comes up, it starts flowing into that hole, and then the spillway is actually just a tunnel that releases downstream. So really neat feature. And the rare occasions that the flows get up or the water level gets up to go into the spillway, it's really neat to get out here and see this in action. So it's kind of a shot of what the dam looks like itself in the area that we're going to be studying downstream of the dam. Going back here, here's the concrete arch dam reservoir here. Releases into a channel, a canyonized channel. And it's relatively steep canyon walls as it breaks out through, and then eventually comes out of the channel and then hits this big valley, the Central Valley of California. Once it hits this valley, it generally is going to follow the stream bed, is what we anticipate, and then flooding is going to be introduced to the city of Davis, potentially Woodland, potentially Dixon, at which point it'll flow into this big, what we call the yellow bypass, and then it's likely to be most of those flows will be caught in this bypass and be sent downstream and won't necessarily go out into Sacramento. So those are the assumptions going into it. So that's going to help me with defining my model area, the extent of inundation that I expect to see. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to create a new screening. We'll make this one testing. I'll call it Monticello Dam. And then the Lake Berryessa is the name of the lake. I'm going to be using imperial systems, so feet for vertical units. Okay. So created the dam. Because it's not into our national inventory of a dam set, this is all blank, but that's fine. What we're going to focus on today is the consequences piece. So starting out, it's a blank slate, right? Empty canvas. If we're painters, this is a great starting point. Got our brushes ready. Going to zoom in on our area that we want to know. And what's nice about this map window on the right here is that these options along the top really kind of go with the the model flow, the model development flow. So we're going to start, and actually I'm going to start by creating the dam because we know exactly where that is, and that's just an easy starting point. So go in here, click on dam, and it automatically starts an editing process to draw your dam in. So I'm going to just draw this along concrete arch. Double click to end. We'll call this Monticello Dam. Top of dam elevation, I have that handy, is 456. I'm going to use a cell size near the dam. Now, default uses and these are super helpful, these little question marks, because when you mouse over those question marks, it pops up what that parameter means. Cell size near the dam. So this is for the two-dimensional hydraulic mesh. And it's going to default to whatever your model area uses, but you can have it be a more refined mesh near the dam. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 250-foot grid cell size. And the reason I'm doing that is because there's this handy little measure tool down here. And I know I'm going to be, for my first runs, doing really big cell sizes in my model area because I want to run relatively quickly. But I want more definition right downstream of the dam. So I'm going to use the measure tool. I'm going to measure across here, double click to finish. It's kind of hard to see, but that's about 250 feet. So that's what I'm going to go with for my grid cell size, just so I can do a better job of hopefully capturing that channel in the mesh. Save that. All right, my dam is now a part of my study. I can always go in and I can edit these parameters associated with the dam, which is a very common thing to do as part of the iterative process of developing the inundation data set. All right, dam's in place. Next, I'm going to build the model area. So I click on the model area button at the top, immediately begins edit session. And I'm just going to roughly kind of draw in this model area. And the reason I'm going to roughly do it now is because later on, after I've run the hydraulic mesh, I can run the hydraulic simulation, I can go in and refine it to be a better representation of the area. But right now, I just want to have big bounds in my area to be able to cover any of the inundation that could happen. And I can always go back in and I can adjust it afterwards. So I'm just going along the canyonized area, trying to keep it where the flow would be contained, and then zoom out a bit. I know this is kind of the boring part for you all, just watching me click along, but it's a really critical piece. Okay, so we're coming out of the valley now, and the flows at this point I'm expecting is going to start spreading. So I'm going to start clicking up, zoom out a little bit more. I'm going to give a nice big swath here, and I'm going to go all the way over to the Sacramento River, to the edge of the bypass here. And bring that down all the way, keep it on this side of the bypass, because at some point I may want to introduce those levees into my terrain model for better processing. Okay, then the flow is going to flow, west to east. It's going to hit the bypass and flow south down into this kind of more drainage area down getting into the San Francisco Bay Area. So I don't have any concerns down there. Water is going to flow from this model area into this bay. I'm not too concerned about what's going on down there, so I'm going to cut the model area off right here. Assuming that that's going to be the case. Now I'm going to draw it back up, finish out the canyon area as best I can, drawing it in, and then says to finish it, click first marker to finish. So I go back up to that first marker, click it, model area is created. I know this is a really big model area. It's like half of the Central Valley of California. It's a pretty big model area. So I'm going to increase the cell size to 1,000. I can go back in later and refine it. But for right now, I'm going to have larger two-dimensional cells in here for faster run times, run it, see what needs to be adjusted, needs to be fixed, and then later on refine the mesh cell size to be smaller. Okay. All right, that was the model area is complete. The dam is complete. Really, this is the minimum we need to do our hydraulic model, our inundation scenario. But I'm going to add one more piece of information in at this point, and that's the river center line. So the river coming out of Monticello Dam, or Monticello, is called Puda Creek. Puda Creek flows all the way through into the Yolo bypass. I want to have that feature in my model, meaning I want my two-dimensional mesh to have those details that be more refined along that area. And I want my river area to have a different Manning's end value. So there's a lot of advantages to doing that. Now, to save you the struggle of watching me, go in here and click along the river and build that center line, I'm going to go ahead and import it. So go to create a river. We have some upload options, so you can upload either a JSON file or a shape file. In this case, I have a JSON file ready to go, or at least I did. Still do, thankfully. Upload that bad boy. And it spits it into the map window right away. Here's the river center line for Poudre Creek. River width, if I go in and I look at my river width and also check it with my sheet. Remember when we measured here, it was about 250 edge to edge, and that was with a little bit of extra, but then it narrows a little bit. So I'm going to say this river width on average is about 200 feet across. Floodplain width multiplier is there to extend the 2D mesh and the Manning's N values beyond. So I'm going to leave that at 3 for now, meaning mainly because of down in the, as we get out of this canyon, we want that floodplain to be captured a little bit better. And then I'm going to leave the Manning's N values for the channel at 0.035. This is really critical because it provides a leading edge to that flood wave. That channel having a lower Manning's N value is going to allow that flow to get into that channel and push along there first as it's going out over bank into the overstream areas. All right, the loading location for this, I am not going to be introducing a hydrograph as extra flow because the flow is coming from the dam just upstream. But if I was, I would have it be at the upstream end of the line. And then I am going to set this to true.